Well, since it's an Interapid, it might still be worth sending out and paying for a repair. But just for the heck of it, I'm going to see whether or not I can get this point. This point is actually out of position and out of its pivots. So I'm going to at least try and get them back into, get that pivot into its proper positioning and see what happens. So if a start is this side, it's backed way out. Doesn't seem like this is going in far enough because of the little locking nut. Back that off. Yeah, it's got more serious things that happen to it going on here because oh, this whole back part is loose from the face. So these screws have been loosened or taken out at some point. Tightening them does not solve the problem. I don't think I can make it worse. Who wants to bet me I'm wrong? Now the good news is this actually, I don't know, this almost appears like it's working correctly. This whole assembly. It's almost as if like you're supposed to maybe preload this wheel before you install it. That's a trick. I wonder how the hell you do that. Oh, I see what's wrong here. There's like really bad things that happen to the mechanism. There's a rack gear in there that's supposed to mesh with that gear, and it's all out of kilter. So the question is, what does that pivot on? I'm guessing it's this screw and this screw right here. Put these two screws separate from the other two in case they're not the same. Of course, somebody may have already had these out and mixed them up already. So the question is, how does this all come out of there? Get some tweezers. So the question is, how is this supposed to be on here? Are these two pins supposed to be in these two holes? This acts as a spring, probably to return, right? Almost seems like you need something to hold this all together while you insert it in there. This could actually go back even further. I'm wondering whether or not this is completely out of position. In other words, see this notch on the back here? the back of the lever. That little notch right there at the back of the lever, I'm wondering whether or not that rear pin's supposed to be in there. In other words, is this supposed to be like this? Bet you it is. No! Anyways, I think it's supposed to be like this, because then that gives you this larger opening here for that bearing, these little screw bearing things to go into. Well, that's all fine and dandy. The question is, can I get this all back together? There you go, like that. Oh, I think I'm onto something here. All right, I got these reverse tweezers. Trying to figure out where I can clamp this thing, where it won't be interfering with the pins. There we go. Oop. Yeah, and now those pivot points line up in the holes. So that makes more sense. There we go. Okay, I got the front pivot mounted. This fell out of position again, but I think I can, now that I know what position it's supposed to be in, I don't think I have to take the whole thing out to put it back together. I can just do what I just did right there, which is push it into the general relative area where it's supposed to be. Now I'm sighting down here and I can see that it doesn't want to go over because this bearing is in the way. So I'm going to back this bearing out. Now that should pop over. That's tricky. I think that little hairspring is trying to push it back out of position, making it very difficult for me to get this bearing pin to go into the bearing position on this screw. Oh, I see. If I put a little bit of, if I move this lever down, it helps move that up into position. Oh, fell out. Fell out again. Well, through much trial and error, I was able to get it back all together. I think it's working correctly now, but I honestly don't know. The other thing I don't understand is how you're supposed to get the face back on and set to 0. I mean, that just seems like a Herculean task. Yeah, there's still something not right with the spring tension on this. Alright, so it's not clocked correctly at all. A couple of things. I think that secondary dial should be at 0 when it's in the neutral position, and ideally we'd want this at about 12 o'clock. The good news is it actually is working in a way, you know what I mean? It's a lot better than it was. So I'm pretty confident that in a capable set of hands that this could be rescued. And my hands are not that set of hands. So I was just checking online, and this indicator can be bought for $240 brand new. So it's not an inexpensive indicator, which I knew that as soon as I saw it was an Interapid, you know. If there was some way to hold that wheel, you know, to like preload that wheel and keep it from spinning while you load it down into the unit there, I could see how that would, I wonder what these tiny holes on the back are for. Nope, that's not the answer. Yeah, so I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet.